enable.
Hello and welcome to Nava Karnataka, a state of continuous progress, where this week we are focusing on the pharmaceutical industry. And given its rich diversity of flora and fauna, academic institutions that provide a steady stream of intellectual capital, many companies have chosen to make it home. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the state accounts for almost 10% of the total exports coming out of the country. Take a look.
The state takes the 5th position in pharmaceutical exports. Karnataka contributes about 10% to the pharmaceutical export revenues of India. In order to promote the pharmaceutical industry, the government of Karnataka is taking innovative initiatives like developing pharma parks, setting up of special economic zones, promoting R&D facilities, and much more. Let's take a look at how Karnataka is creating a better tomorrow for pharmaceutical industry.
And joining us now is the Minister for Medium and Heavy Industries, Mr. R.V. Deshpande, who will tell us a little bit about investments, particularly foreign direct investment, which is coming into sectors like pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, and what is it that makes the state such an attractive destination. Thank you so much, Mr. Deshpande, for joining us, and congratulations. Your state is number one in terms of overall investments. It is the second spot as far as foreign direct investment is concerned. Take us through how foreign investors really, what are the important criteria for them, and how has Karnataka been able to meet them when it comes to technologies, biotechnology and the pharmaceutical space?
Please understand, more than 400 national multinational companies are doing R&D here. Why Karnataka? Not that because I am the Industries Minister. Karnataka has inherent strengths. The R&D which is going on here, I don't think any part of the country has that. We are the IT capital, not of India, but of the world. PT capital, startup capital, aviation capital, and hence, you see all the central public undertakings. It is ISRO, it is Institute of Management, Institute of Science, it is BEL, BHEL, HAL, all are here. It is because of the inherent strength of Karnataka, excellent law and order, excellent human resource, people-friendly government, industry-friendly state, and people also welcome industries here.
Right.
Nobody, even my farmers, the owners of the land, they welcome industries. And I'm of the firm opinion, only investments can bring prosperity. We always give a red carpet treatment to our investors.
While your early investors, and I'll just take a few names like Biocon, you mentioned Infosys a little while earlier, clearly they had access to a lot of the early mover advantages. But now for an investor coming in at this point, if you just take a look at the headlines in terms of the infrastructure issues and so on and so forth, do you think, and with other states also vying for that same dollar of investment, has it become a little bit more challenging, or how are you as a state still continuing to try and attract top dollar?
Investors should go to a state where they have respect, where they get infrastructure, where there is transparency. I always believed in competition. So the first global investors meet was done in this country by Karnataka. Other states followed us.
True.
We brought a unique startup policy when I took over this department. We were the first in the country. IT policy, I told you, we were the first in the country. Aviation policy, no state had. Now some states have, we are the first. Now again, electrical vehicle manufacturing and the battery manufacturing. Even the GOI doesn't have policy, the state has brought a policy. My point is, what they want? They want confidence. Go ahead, I am there with you. Number one, they want transparency, quick decisions, and good infrastructure. Yes, we have to improve on infrastructure, and that is our priority.
Right.
That is our priority. And you see, and I tell you, Bangalore's suburban rail work will start now. Government of India is also supporting.
Right.
Metro has started. We are looking for the peripheral road. All these things we are looking after. The flyovers, the outer ring road is done. Some more has to be done. All this we are working, network on railways. I'm in charge of railways also here.
Okay.
I'm in charge of airports also here. So we are trying to expand our network because even industry has leaders who don't have time.
Right.
They have to go and go back. So proper infrastructure has to develop. When we say industry go to backward areas, who will go without infrastructure? So we are creating. Now, Kalburgi Airport, that is a backward area.
So you're already working towards spreading out.
Now the airport will be ready. In the next 2-3 months, the Kalburgi Airport will be ready. We'll start operations.
You know, India has been facing a problem of jobless growth.
Right.
So even when these investments have been coming in, especially with FDI and private players, it's felt that so many SOPs are given that the actual transition to employment and employment generation doesn't happen because companies are perhaps not focused as much on that. How do you as a minister balance the two?
You know, Industrial Policy 214-19, we promised 15 lakh jobs to be created in small, medium, large industries by 31st March 2019. And I'm happy to tell you, almost 13 lakh jobs we have created in less than 4.5 years, and 5 lakh odd jobs are in pipeline. We are exceeding our targets. But yes, there's a big concern. India is going to be the country of youngest population in the world by 2025.
Right.
What are we going to do this way? Hence, we in Karnataka are trying to suit the curriculum to the need of the industry. We have recently formed a skill ministry where we will train this year 5 lakh youth in different disciplines, so that after that either they get job or they will get self-employment. So Karnataka is at it, but it's a big challenge. Let me be honest.
Yeah.
See, automation, digitalization, robotics. Can you say no to industry? You can't say. This is a competitive world. Globe has become a very small village. It has become more competitive, more qualitative, and consumer is the king of the century. You have to satisfy him. So ultimately, all this you have to allow. But at the same time, new jobs have to be created.
And you're working on that.
Okay. Now startups, we are the leaders in the world. So startups, if they are successful, they can create a large number of jobs.
True.
So we have to encourage them.
Okay.
We have a unique policy. We are urging the Indian government also to do something on that. They have done something more than that. So we are looking at the creation of jobs also. And I'm sure things are going to happen in Karnataka.
Right.
Lastly, I can tell you, if Karnataka's prosperity has come, I should thank the people of Karnataka because they're so good, so nice. They always cooperate. It is investments in agriculture, industry, whatever it is. Nobody objects. They say bring industries, bring investments. And they know the benefit of having investments.
Right.
And I'm sure with all the support we have, we'll continue to rank number 1 in the country. Ease of doing business also. The way we have performed, I think we should rank.
Anything special you have for the pharmaceutical sector or for the biotechnology sector?
Pharma is also another strength of ours. Leader like Biocon. Kiran is sitting here. I know Kiran's last 25 years and she's today the leader in the world. We are proud of her.
Yes.
So many industries have come. In pharma also we have got good presence. But we would like to see that more and more pharma industries come. We are working on a pharma park also. Special pharma park where pharma industries would come. We are also working there in Yadgir. Yadgir, we have developed a nice park where we are expecting some investments from surrounding states. But Karnataka location will be better for that.
Right. So you are working on a holistic policy. Mr. Deshpande, Minister, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
On that note, let's take a quick break. You're watching our special focus on the pharmaceutical industry. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Nava Karnataka, a state of continuous progress. Now, the South has always been a hotbed when it comes to pharmaceutical industry. So what is it about the key policies, about the infrastructure that attracts private players here in the state? Let's catch up with all the key stakeholders and find out.
Karnataka, a state where pharmaceutical industry is steadily growing and expanding. One of the renowned companies is Allergan, a global pharmaceutical company and an industry leader in open science. Let's take a look.
Joining us now is the Managing Director of Allergan India, Mr. Sridhar Ranganathan. Sridhar, many thanks for joining us on the show.
My pleasure.
And it's been, more than 2 decades for you with Allergan, and even longer for the company here?
That's right. I'm in the 20th year, and Allergan has been here since 1996, so a little more than my presence here.
And very interesting your model, because a lot of companies typically either choose to go in for manufacturing themselves, but in your case you've decided to go in with an Indian partner. Has that been a fruitful experience?
Yeah, it's been very good, because when we had the joint venture with Piramal, they were one of the biggest pharma conglomerates at that time. So they had the capacity to manufacture, and they had a world-class facility, and it became a good marriage, I should say, between what we wanted and what they were able to offer. And hence in the last 20 plus years we've been able to bring in a lot of products which are globally available to manufacture in India, and also together we have developed some local products also, and they were able to quickly turn it around and give it to us, and that's really helped us to grow significantly.
And take us through your journey here. You decided to set up office in Karnataka.
Yeah.
Why particularly the city? Because the south, as we've seen, you've got so many states neighboring who are competing for a share of your investment. Why did you come here?
So at that time, most of the multinational pharma companies were either going to Mumbai or to Gurgaon, Delhi. But we thought it will be better here for us, because many companies were getting attracted, not in the pharma field but in the IT field. If you look at the early 90s and all, we definitely had many companies coming here, and it worked out very well also, because then we realized that there are many things which are required as a back office support or backup support for us, whether it is dealing with a CRO company or with an IT requirement that we need in the organization as such. Most of those things work very well, and of course the system is very transparent here, and we found most of it to be very supportive for us to continue here.
Right.
And we have been having a great run, I should say.
When one talks about Karnataka, and particularly Bangalore, one refers to the rich vein of intellectual capital, the academia that exists. How important is it for you as a company in this ecosystem? So
definitely anything that happens around the organization, as I told you, for example, today if you have to find some intellectual resource, whether in terms of the IT infrastructure that is required, or in terms of the CRO, or in terms of doing something with respect to regulatory pharmacovigilance and all that, we have quite a lot of support that is available for us, and that really helps us to run the business smoothly. It's quite transparent. There are many online options available for us to take approvals and all that. So these things make things very easy for us to operate, and we have been having generally a very good run, I should say.
So Sridhar, take us through what are your other product suites that you have here in terms of, other than ophthalmology, you also have something in the aesthetic space, Botox.
Correct.
Is that something again you see as a huge market opportunity?
Yeah, so definitely we have two important products. One is Botox in aesthetics, and the other one is fillers. Juvederm is our filler. So these two products have started doing very well over the last few years, so we see a huge opportunity. We also have Botox useful in the therapeutic segment, for example in the cerebral palsy, adult spasticity, post-stroke requirements, and also this product is useful there also. It has a treatment for the gap that is there in that conditions as well. So even for chronic migraine, Botox is very useful. So we have focus on that particular brand in that segment also.
So India for you is actually a very vital market. You were sharing with me that your global CEO recently actually referred to India as being one of the most important markets. But at this point in time, many are actually stepping back from the Indian markets, looking at our cooling growth and all the other associated problems. That doesn't seem to be the case with you?
For India, thankfully, it is a very fertile market, I should say. Our corporation looks at it as a huge opportunity. And I keep getting from my bosses, whether it was in Dubai or in Singapore, they keep telling us, okay, tell us how can we actually invest more in this country and see how we can actually grow further. And they support us very well. So I feel that for Allergan India is still a huge market, and we find that there are huge opportunities.
Okay, and as you plan to grow further, you continue to grow here in Karnataka, or are the other states also tempting you?
Yeah, in fact, we want to be rooted in Karnataka only, Bangalore, because we like this place and all our employees enjoy this place. And in fact, we are actually doubling the space in the same building itself. We have been here for a long time, and we we are actually growing, I should say.
Okay.
And we are very happy with what's happening, so we owe it to Karnataka.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's a big thumbs up. I'm sure the government will be very happy with that. Thanks, Sridhar, for joining us.
With the presence of several R&D centers and availability of skilled manpower, Karnataka has been a preferred choice to biological research and biotech companies. Let's take a look at the business of genotypic technologies, the first genomic service provider in India.
And joining us now on the show is Dr. Sudha Rao, who is the co-founder and executive director at Genotypic. Dr. Rao, many thanks for joining us. I just took the name of your company, Genotypic, and when I looked it up to find out a little bit more, it seems like a fairly a world which many of us are not familiar with, which is the world of genomics. What exactly is your company all about?
So, genomics is the right word you've used, and I'm not sure if you studied biology in school about genes. What Genotypic tries to do is understand genes, DNA of different life forms in a way that we can manipulate or use this information for the betterment of human life, right? Either quality of life, food, medicines, diseases, all of these areas. But what we fundamentally look at is what's in your DNA, right? Whether it's human or bacterial cells.
And you began way back in 1998. That time, especially here in India, the world of genomics and just analyzing DNA was a fairly nascent one. Did you really look at the commercialization of some of these ideas, or was it just an idea of a startup which then somehow has grown organically?
So, I think Dr. Raja and I, we had, after our PhD from India, where we struggled actually to have access to technologies that would have probably, enabled better research. So, Raja is a technologist, he's an inventor. The idea was to sort of bring in these technologies to enable all kinds of research in India.
How are you different from what, say, a Biocon does, which seems to be, addressing a far larger commercial market?
So we are a fairly research-driven company, not so much into manufacturing. Biocon and Syngene, of course, does contract research. Biocon is a manufacturing company, right? So that's the scale that you see. What you do in research gets scaled up for a product in companies like Biocon. But I think what we enable is the basic research that sort of helps Biocon do what they do. Yeah. So our clients are research scientists across India, or even we have global clients. Research scientists who actually do basic research in institutes like IISc, NCBS, or anywhere in India, or companies, for example, companies like Unilever, ITC, people who are developing products for the future, right? So we enable research in a way that, be it a new shampoo that they're making, or a diabetic-friendly wheat, or tomatoes that can have a longer shelf life. Any of these things all start at the level of DNA. What's in it that makes it different?
That's
how do
fascinating.
you sort of commercialize it for humans is what we look at.
Right. So clearly, it's a huge world of options in terms of what you can actually do with that gene mapping. You mentioned IISc, and we were just having the conversation a little while earlier. Having a strong academic institution so close to you, is that something that is vital, particularly to companies such as yourself?
Absolutely. I think it's
How does it help?
Let's take it recruitment, right? When we started, so the company was actually registered in Coimbatore, and then since we set shop here in Bangalore, I think some of these premier institutes were a reason why we set shop here in Bangalore, is because this is a very knowledge-intensive industry, right? And these institutions provide the required manpower, trained manpower that we needed. Even so, there were not any the people who we could directly employ, because there was no exposure to genomics before we started here in India. But they had the fundamental training that is required to sort of absorb these new technologies and grow it from there. So that was one of the key things, right? The knowledge base, also the infrastructure.
And you had some great handholding from some great mentors as well.
We incubated ISC initially, and before we sort of started our own labs, and some of these were very, very significant contributors to our growth.
Dr. Sudha Rao, many thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure catching up with you. All the very best.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the special feature on the pharmaceutical industry right here on CNBC TV 18. Do remember to catch the highlights of the Nava Karnataka conclave on February the 24th. Until we meet again, goodbye and thanks for watching.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.